Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrall. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, it's a bit of a flashback for me. We've got Martin Tideswell, who's the Director of Communities and Commercial Engagement at the University of Staffordshire. Martin, hello.
Hello, you.
Hello, you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. I'm excited to be talking to you. It is a bit of a flashback, isn't it? It's a trip down memory lane. No doubt we're going to talk about newspapers at some point.
We will.
So, but yes, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming in to the studio. It is a bit of a flashback, and just to give some relevance and some context into that as well, Martin, is back in the day. Back in the day, many years ago for me as well, when I was at the Sentinel newspaper, you were actually my news editor at the time.
Yes, I was. Was I any good?
Do you remember
Was I a
me?
nice person? I do remember you very well. Yes, you were extremely talented and hardworking. Is that the right thing to say?
That's definitely the right thing to say.
Okay. Yes. So yes, it was. I one of several roles that I had at the Sentinel, and I worked with some great people.
And just going on then, from your career. Decades in the media, as a journalist, news editor, you name it, you've done various different roles within the media locally, especially. Now, again, over the years, you've had, different career opportunities once you left the publication. And you've gone on now, as we've just mentioned, you're at University of Staffordshire. And the role that you're in, is it much, different to what you did when you were working at the Sentinel? Because then it was key, really, wasn't it, to build on those relationships, not only with local people, local community groups, but also businesses. So how has that transferred into what you're doing now?
It's a really good question. So is it different? Oh my goodness, it's different. It's very, very different. So I worked in newspapers in journalism for 30 years. In fact, I think I was a week shy of 30 years, but I say 30 years anyway. And I had numerous jobs. I had 7 jobs at the Sentinel. And for the last 6 years that I was at the Sentinel and Stoke-on-Trent Live, I was the editor. And with that position comes an enormous responsibility. And also, I think it's fair to say that certainly for me, and maybe I did it wrong, but for me, my life wasn't my own during that period of time. You're constantly on call. You're constantly working in the evening. It doesn't matter where you are. You've always got your phone with you. You're always being asked questions. You're asked to sign off on things. And you know that ultimately your name's on the door. So it's tough. It's very different now, very, very different now. We've got a situation where I think my relationships that came through from my time at the Sentinel, my time at Port Vale Football Club, because I was there for 2 years as well. I know you're a Vale fan.
I am.
I sometimes used to see you there, skulking off at half-time when we were 1-0 down. But I think the one thing you do, you know better than anyone, Sonya, is as a journalist, it's all about relationships. It's about relationships that you form very quickly, and sometimes relationships that last a long, long time. I'm very, very fortunate to have a network of people that I've built up over those 30 years, and it is business people, politicians, celebrities, footballers. I'm very, very fortunate to count these people as my friends, and they are incredibly supportive of everything that I've tried to do in my career. When I left the Sentinel and Stoke-on-Trent Live in 2020, I had no plan. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't have a sort of plan B. It was out of the blue. But I knew that the changes that were coming would make it a very different place from the newsroom that I loved so much. So I chose to sort of step away, and it was tough. And I was grieving, probably, in all honesty, for about 18 months. I was very fortunate that Carol Shanahan at Port Vale Football Club was one of a number of people who said to me, come and work with me. And so I did. And I had a great 2 years at Port Vale. We enjoyed a promotion at Wembley in the sunshine with Darryl Clark. And I left on the day of the Robbie Williams concert. So I think, I've been very, very lucky. And then I go to work at a university, which is a place, I think you reach a point in your life, Sonya, where it's about what gets you out of bed in the morning. Of course, you want a salary and you need to feel like you're valued and so forth. But really, I needed to feel like, particularly coming out of journalism, that the job that I was working in, I was making a difference. And that's what I feel at the university. And I guess I hope what I and my team bring is that relationship stuff. It's the networking and keeping that strong, which I've been really working hard to do over the years, means that when we move wherever we go, we take those relationships with us, and that kind of goodwill, I suppose, from business people particularly, who are prepared to say, yeah, I like that, I'll support you, I'll put my hand in my pocket, I'll sponsor you, etc., etc. And we'll come on to talk a little bit, I'm sure, about how that works. But I really enjoy it. I love being at University of Staffordshire. I work with some really good people, and I think, without wanting to sound too glib, it does feel like I've got a second career.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned there your network, Martin. Now, in business especially, something I can relate to, even in my past, in career as well, different things that I did in the media. But that network and working on that network and getting to know people, like you say, that relationship building, whether it's in like a role that you're in now, whether it was in the media before, but especially as a business, it is absolutely crucial.
It's vital. It's absolutely vital. I don't think it's really appreciated, Sonya. I don't think... I think I know people who are extremely good at certain aspects of business. They might be brilliant at bidding for funding. They might be absolutely fantastic at the elements of the role that they do relating to business. But goodness me, they're rubbish at relationship stuff. They don't nurture networks. They don't nurture relationships. I think there's a and I think it's a terrible misconception. It's simply wrong-headed. But some people, and I can think of a few people now as we're sitting here and I'm smiling to myself, who think it's really easy. It's really easy to maintain. Everybody networks, don't they? Everybody's an ambassador. Well, we're all ambassadors, aren't we? Well, we are, but some people are really good at it and some people can't do it because they haven't got the skills. And I think maintaining those relationships, opening doors for people. So at the university, in the role that I have at the moment, my team is very, very good at nurturing relationships. And sometimes it's with an honorary doctor. So let me give you an example. An honorary doctor who is somebody who has a strong connection to Staffordshire or the university, has been rewarded with the university's highest honour and goes on to continue to support the university as an ambassador. What does that support look like? Yeah, they're going to come along to our black tie dinners and things like that and be there as a bit of a sort of VIP guest. But also, do you know what? These people are brilliant because not only do they sometimes put their hand in their pocket and say, you know what, I want to give you a bursary, I want to support this, I want to sponsor that, but they give their time, and that's so important, particularly for, students, graduates, work placements. We've had some phenomenal success stories, and they come out of those relationships with people who are prepared to give their time, their talent, and their resource to support future generations. And if a colleague at the university comes to our team and says, I could just do with a speaker, I could just do with somebody coming and opening this for me, cutting the ribbon, do you know anybody who works in this industry? Pretty sure we can say yes. And
you mentioned there honorary doctorates. Now, how does that work, and what kind of people actually are invited to do that and to be an ambassador? Again, does that relate to businesses?
It's really complicated, but suffice to say, if I can boil it down, it's a process that we go through annually. It's overseen by the team that I work with, the development and alumni team, and we look at several different things. We look at people who have a strong connection to the university, who have for years devoted their time and effort, been brilliant ambassadors, or it could be someone who's excelled in their career. They're just absolutely stellar. So someone who has gone on to reach the absolute top of their game. So I'll give you a really good example. Jasmine Sawyers was inducted as an honorary doctor 2 weeks ago at graduation. I had the pleasure of standing on stage with Jazz. So Jazz is from Stoke-on-Trent. She's an Olympian. She's also a singer-songwriter. Oh, yeah. She's got a degree in law. Yeah. She's, basically Jazz is one of those annoying people who can turn her hand to absolutely anything. But she's a brilliant ambassador for Stoke-on-Trent as well. So when you put all that together, you think, I can't think of a more powerful, inspiring, individual, particularly someone who's accessible and engaging for young people as well. Huge following on Instagram. So whether you follow her because she's an athlete, whether you follow her because she's a singer-songwriter, whether you follow her because she's just a young woman who's doing amazing things and she inspires you, that's the kind of person who ticks a huge box, and that's why we approached Jazz and she was offered an honorary doctorate. Other people, have excelled in their careers. Other people are incredibly powerful ambassadors for Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire. So it's always a mixture really of individuals who've excelled in an industry or a sector, who have strong connections to the university or the city or the county, the wider county. And what we hope to get from it, I think, as well as honouring them and saying thank you for what you do, we're very much hoping, and this happens, it really does happen, that these individuals will go on to be brilliant ambassadors for the university and help our young people get to where they want to be in life. Because we do some incredible stuff at the university. We do TED Talks, we do business awards. We do lots of things which are over and above what you'd call, I guess, the core educational stuff. And that's because we are a huge employer. We've got 1,500 staff. We have a huge footprint, campuses in Stoke-on-Trent, Stafford, Lichfield, London. And we're a very significant player locally. We've just started to, spades went into the ground in summer to build the new student village. £140 million project, going to open in September of 2026. Massive investment for the city, that. We're a very significant local employer, and I think it's a really exciting time for the university, and it's great to be part of it, and it's great to be able to bring those connections, whether they're business people or whoever, to the table and say, right, what can we do with you? What do you want to get involved in? It's brilliant. And
just going on from that, mentioning businesses as well, university has also got a business school.
Yep.
And
run by the excellent Carol Southall. She's brilliant.
Yeah. And that as well, how valuable is it? We've touched on a few things here, but how valuable and how important is it for businesses to work with universities on different levels, different scales, and how can that potentially go on and inspire more people as well to perhaps stay local, going to local universities, but also could it also produce where there's future opportunities by working with more businesses for, again, more people to stay working in the city of Stoke-on-Trent?
I think it's a really important point, and I think everything you've just said really resonates with me. When I got to the university in 2022, so 2.5 years ago now, I was really impressed by the network that the university already had. We were already working with hundreds of businesses through the business engagement team, through the business school, because as a university, what we're really keen on and what the Vice-Chancellor always talks about is outcomes. Yes, of course, we want to give students a wonderful experience. We want them to qualify with the skills that they're going to need to make them, ready for the future of the workplace, whatever that is for them. But crucially, it's about outcomes. It's about getting them into contact with employers, placements, and giving them the right tools so that they are work ready. So we have connections, we have knowledge transfer partnerships, we do R&D, we have the Peter Coates MSc in entrepreneurship. Now just think about that for a second. Peter Coates, an astonishingly successful, inspiring local businessman, the person who rescued Stoke City Football Club, who worked with his family, with Denise, to create and grow the biggest employer in the city, Bet365, global business. Peter has worked with the university to create a legacy project which inspires young people and gives them the tools to become entrepreneurs, wealth creators and employers of the future. And that is literally in its purest form what you've just been talking about. Trying to keep talent local, giving them the tools, sometimes giving them some financial support as well to go out there and be the next Peter Coates, be the next whoever, entrepreneur, successful, somebody who wants to stay local. Because look, if you follow me, Sonya, I'm a massive advocate for Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire. I mean, if you cut me in half, it says Stoke-on-Trent. I wouldn't want to go or do anything else, be anywhere else because I think the people of this place are just so special. I think what we've always been really guilty of, and what I tried to do at the Sentinel really hard, we worked on things like, City of Culture project and things like that. We were always championing the city, doing something like the campaigns were always aspirational. We had to tell the bad news. Yes, we had to do that. But actually, it was about, my dad read the Sentinel. My dad was my biggest critic. And, and I knew that there was a balance to be struck there. So I think it's about championing the area and giving people the confidence to say, actually, this is a great place to live and work. I visit other cities. I went to Hull when we did the City of Culture bid. They'd just been named City of Culture. And I looked around and I actually thought to myself, looks a bit like Stoke, this. It's just like Stoke-on-Trent, isn't it? There's nothing that really differentiates it from Stoke. This could be Stoke. So if Hull can do it, we can do it. And I think we need to give people the confidence to say, do you know what? I want to set up a business here. I want to live here. I want to work here. Why wouldn't you want to live in one of the greenest cities in Stoke-on-Trent, where land is cheap, house prices are cheap, you've got great connectivity with the rest of the country? As a business person, I think it's got all the ingredients for a fantastic base, and I think through the university, what we're trying to do is to keep the talent local, promote the area, and also, of course, upskill local people. We know we've got our challenges in terms of academic attainment locally at school level. We want more school children to go on to college, but it might not be right for them universities. We have to be honest. It might be that the apprenticeship route is better for them, so I think we have to have honest conversations with our young people, but we always have to have aspirational. And I never want to be in a situation where people think university isn't for me. And I say this as a person who never went to university. I've become quite evangelical about it, so I didn't go to university. I got my A-levels and then was offered a job during my A-levels, and that was it. And I was went into journalism. But I would always want young people to have their eyes opened up to the possibilities. University of Staffordshire's new slogan is your place of possibility. And I think it's really clever because basically what we're saying is the world's your oyster. You do what you want to do and we'll help you get there. It's your place. Come and work with us and we'll get you ready for the world of work and a career and a good life. So yeah, I think, for businesses, people say to me, well, why should we be getting involved in the business awards? Goodness me. Well, I mean, how long have you got? So if you're a business and you want to enter, fantastic. Our business awards is a bit different. And it's a bit different because we've got somebody in Jenny Amphlett, who's a trained journalist, who interviews every single nominee. She writes up an article, we have a photograph, and that's shared on social media. Incredibly powerful. So they can then share that on their own social media. When it comes to the judging day, our judges don't just get a nomination form. They get financial information from the companies. They get Jenny's article. They get the application form, and we have a robust debate. And the university doesn't choose the winners. The university has one vote out of about 16. So it's really independent, robust and fair. So in terms of value for businesses who are entering, it's a win-win. If you get through the process and you're shortlisted, we send the brilliant Martin Brough, the filmmaker, to come and shoot a lovely film, which you then get given, which you can share on your social media. It gets shown on the night on the Business Awards. Companies, what do they get? Well, they get 9 months of publicity, opportunity to sit down with other sort of companies and sponsor organisations to do the judging and to sit and sift through and look and think, wow, look at the talent here, to present an award on the night, to be in that room with all your guests, etc., etc. It is hands down the best networking opportunity you can have, I think, as a business. I think we had 88 businesses in the room this year. 350 guests, sell out with a waiting list for tickets. It was probably the best one I've been involved in, and I did the Sentinel Business Awards for a long time. So I think it's incredibly powerful, and I think the benefits it's back to what your point, Sonya, about networking and relationships. Some people have brilliant businesses, but they're terrible at selling them. They're really not very good at telling their story. And sometimes it takes somebody else to tell that story, and that's what the Business Awards does.
Yeah, I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on that, Martin, with the Business Awards. And I remember the Sentinel days as well, attending not long after I'd actually started with Baba Baboom. There was a client who was a finalist in the Sentinel Business Awards, And then over the years, the past couple of years, I've had clients myself who've been either finalists or they've gone on to win, which has been absolutely amazing. Now, for me personally, I can see the value in business awards. I do see that because I understand, like you say, with that network, and I understand with that promotion and why it's so valuable to share those genuine, authentic stories, not just about somebody's ego, and it's nothing like that. But I get comments, and I've had comments, especially over the last couple of years again, of why though? Why? You touched on it a little bit, but why do business awards? What do we really, really get from it? And isn't it just the same people who are entering?
No, and that's been the surprising thing for me. The sponsors have been brilliant, and we've pretty much retained the same sponsors that we've had. And I actually had back in the Sentinel times, a lot of those sponsors came because they knew the kind of event we were going to run and the process and how we did it, and they knew it was going to be robust and quality, and the event would be good, and anybody be in the room. But what's really surprised me is that we've showcased a lot of new businesses and different businesses that I wasn't aware even existed, or I knew they were there but I didn't know what they did. So if you look at the winners over the last 2 years at the University of Staffordshire Business Awards, they are not the usual suspects. There's the odd company that has won awards before because they're very, very good at what they do and they've done it on merit, and you know what? Hey, the judges do their thing. But what's really interesting to me and what's really exciting to me is when Jenny comes and says, I've just interviewed somebody and they're absolutely amazing. Did you know we did this in Stoke-on-Trent? There's a place in Fenton that does this. And I'm like, no, I had no idea. But we will know because they're bound to get shortlisted. It's a fantastic story. It's a brilliant success. And we've suddenly uncovered a little hidden gem that we didn't know. So I think, it's a great opportunity for businesses that are established and have a HR team and a marketing team or somebody that they come to for a bit of support for promotion, and businesses who are literally like 5 people sitting in an office or rushed off their feet and I've got time. If they can make a little bit of time to enter, it's absolutely worth it, because I know people many times. If I had £1 for every time this had happened, we could launch another business. I know people who've come to our business awards over many years and they always go away with work. They always go away with a new contract, a meeting, a new bit of business. They get introduced to somebody, and the value to not just the people in the room but to the university of having all those people together in that space is immeasurable. Because, obviously the Business Awards, is a sponsored event and there's revenue attached to it. Actually, the real value is in the relationships. To say that we stage a phenomenal event where we showcase through the process 150, 200 businesses and individuals. And then on the night we have 350 people in the room. We have 88 businesses in the room. So we're bringing together the Staffordshire Chambers, Stoke-on-Trent City Council, Staffordshire County Council, Stoke City Football Club, and then big businesses, big employers locally who support us, with smaller businesses and other businesses who've never connected before. The feedback we get is incredible. When you look at the feedback we get, the emails, the letters, the social media stuff, the feedback we get on the night is, it makes it all worthwhile, because we know we are strengthening the business community, the ecosystem here in Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire. And for the university, we're showcasing what we're all about. We're getting people onto campus. They can see our amazing facilities in the Catalyst. They know that our food is fantastic. They might want to hire the venue in the future. And they get connected to our brilliant business people, and they get to meet the VC and all that kind of stuff. So there's so much value in it. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. In fact, to be honest, Sonya, I'm definitely absolutely going to do more than these awards. We won't just be talking about business awards in the future. We'll be talking about other things too, because there's definitely opportunities for other kinds of awards, without wanting to spoil anything going forward, because we've got gaps, I think, now, things that used to happen in the city that don't happen anymore, and yet the appetite, the quality, the kind of the things that were the stories we need to tell are still there. Yeah.
And you mentioned one award there, the Business Awards, others potentially coming for the future, which sounds quite exciting.
Well, should we talk about that?
But yeah.
Why wouldn't we do an education awards?
Well, why not?
Why wouldn't we do a sports awards?
Why not?
I mean, we used to do sports awards.
So you generalise it, categorise it down.
Yeah. Because sports awards here in Stoke-on-Trent, we have such a rich history of success in sport, And so it's such an important part of local life, whether it's the local cricket scene or whatever you want to say, whatever it is. There's so much going on here every weekend, late nights, etc., etc. For many people, sport is their passion. It's what they do, and it's not just about Stoke and Vale. It's not just about the people who reach the top level, the athletes, the Jasmine Soys of this world, and the Joe Clarks and all those people. It's about grassroots, because the vast majority of people have had or do have some involvement in grassroots, whether they're coaching, they're taking their kids to lads and dads, they're they're involved in volunteering, they might be the person who does the cricket nets at a particular, and they're there on come rain or shine at weekends, and I love the idea of celebrating that. We used to have a civic sports awards. I quite fancy doing that. I think that that we do an awful lot of sport at the university. We've got fantastic facilities. We've obviously got the Sir Stanley Matthews Sports Centre. We've got those pitches. We've got some really good 3G stuff. So why wouldn't we celebrate sport here in Staffordshire? That's one. Education. We are a provider of education here in Staffordshire. Thousands of students. We lift people up. We do the Step Up to HEA programme, which is incredibly inspiring and powerful. We've got partnerships with local colleges and schools. We've got our own multi-academy trust with 20-odd schools in it. Why wouldn't we celebrate young people? I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. So I think, the model that we have for the Business Awards, in a way, is a template. We know it works really well. We know it can stage a good do. Why wouldn't we do other things that champion the area? It's about reinforcing that message that this is a great place to live, to work, to invest, to start a business. And it's about telling that positive story. So, yeah. Yeah.
It's basically, from what you're saying there, it's a giant, huge celebration of Staffordshire in multiple ways. Now, there we've mentioned the Business Awards. We've mentioned some potentials and some exciting possible plans for the coming future. But one thing before you go, Martin, I can't let you go without talking about something which is happening again this year. It's happening in November, the end of November. And again, this is not just a celebration, but it's where communities, different organisations, celebrities, you name it, sports people as well, all come together to celebrate local people of Staffordshire. And that's the Your Heroes.
It is. So we're in the final throes of organising, and you'll be with us on the night.
I will.
And I know that our friends from Cross Rhythms will be in the room as well. So Your Heroes is in its 18th year. When I started Your Heroes, I was about 2 stone lighter. I think I was 34 years old. I didn't have a hearing aid, all that kind of stuff. I've kind of aged with it. Over the course of 18 years, we've told more than 2,000 incredible, heartwarming stories. So for those who don't know it, it's essentially a community awards that rewards children of courage, future stars, community champions, charity champions, police officers, firefighters, armed forces personnel, NHS staff, teachers, people who work in education, carers, you name it. There isn't a dry eye in the house. It's absolutely incredible. And we have the support of, so on the night in the room, we'll have the Lord Lieutenant, we'll have the Lord Mayor, the High Sheriff, all the MPs, the council leaders from Stoke and Newcastle. We'll have Stoke City and Port Vale footballers. We'll have Olympians, we'll have business leaders, we'll have actors, we'll have, you name it, they're in the room on the night, but it's not their night. They are there to support the winners. And our winners this year are an incredible bunch of inspiring people and organisations who are, I guess, the glue that bind our communities together. Some of them just have incredibly powerful personal stories to tell. They've been through adversity, or they just go, they do things for other people. They haven't got a clue that what they do is special or different, or that they are, worthy of any kind of reward or acknowledgement or accolade. But we make them feel really, really special, and we tell their story on the big screen on the night, and we invite them up, and they get to have a trophy, and they have a lovely meal, and we give them, goodie bag, and it's just really powerful. And again, it's the university connecting with communities in a really powerful, personal way. It reaches into communities and areas that I think any organisation, newspaper, university, whoever you are, would find difficult to do. it breaks down barriers. It brings people together who would never, ever come in a room together. People who'd never go to a black tie dinner. But they come together and we have the best Stokey night and it's just incredible. So I'm really excited about it. My colleague Jenny Amphlett, who has pulled it all together, who is our person in charge of stakeholder engagement, she's done a wonderful job of bringing all those stories together and bringing them to life. And on the night, she will be the one who, choreographs the whole event. I'm very, very lucky to have a brilliant team around me to make it happen, and sort of long may it continue. So I'm very excited. We're very close to it now, and I know it's going to be another wonderful celebration. So look out for it on social media. Look out for it on our website, yourheroes.co.uk. I'm really excited, and I'm glad you can be with us.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't miss it, Martin. And as you mentioned, Cross Rhythms will be there as well, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'll be there, probably with tissues, as you do.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't cry, Doc.
Oh, well, I'm so emotional. You won't see me at the Vale. But Martin, thank you so much for coming here on Business Spotlight in the Cross Rhythms studio. I hope you've enjoyed it, and will you be back?
It's always a pleasure. I'd come back at any time, and I would encourage other businesses to take up this fantastic opportunity too. I think this is a niche and this is a gap in the market that's really powerful and really important. You're telling stories that need to be told, giving people a voice and amplifying that. I think yourself and the team here at Cross Rhythms do a terrific job, and we're very grateful for your support and Cross Rhythms' support as well with our awards and the initiatives we undertake. It's very much a collaboration and a partnership, so thank you.
Thank you. That's Martin Tideswell here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrall, in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.